In today's video, we will be exploring the full life and story of the assassin known as Lo Sparviero, who is the main character from the game called Assassin's Creed Identity. This character is extremely underrated and I am excited to dive into his story. Before I get started, I should probably make it clear that in the game, you could customize the appearance and pick a name based on the class you chose, but this is basically irrelevant. All you need to know is that he is called Lo Sparviero, meaning the hawk in English, and that is what I'll refer to him as for the rest of the video. Also, in the game there is something called Machiavelli's Journal, which goes into more detail of the events, so if the gameplay doesn't quite match up with what I say, then that is why. Finally, almost 96% of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you enjoyed the video or want to see more Assassin's Creed content, then please consider subscribing to the channel as it is greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that said, let us get started. Very little is known of the Hawk's youth, but by the dawn of the 16th century, his reputation as a vigilant assassin had begun to take shape. Sometime before 1501, he was tasked with eliminating a corrupt guard in Florence. The mission, however, did not go cleanly. Discovered mid-strike, the Hawk was forced into a desperate battle, cutting through waves of guards before scaling the heights of a church to make his escape. After the fall of Monteregione to Cesare Borgia's army in 1500, most of the assassins abandoned the city, but not the Hawk. Alone he chose to remain, protecting the citizens and guarding the hidden chambers beneath the Villa Auditore. In 1501 he was sent to deal with 3 Borgia mercenaries that were disguised as tax collectors, exploiting the people within the city walls. One by one the impostors fell to his blade. But when the Hawk later descended to the tunnels below the villa, he discovered something alarming. A chest hidden by Mario Auditore had been stolen. The mercenaries had merely been a distraction, a veil to conceal a far more dangerous theft. That night, while patrolling the streets in search of the thief, the Hawk saw members of the town dragging an injured old man from the home of Pietro di Galencia, Monteregione's physician. The man cried out that Pietro had kidnapped and tortured him. Realising betrayal was afoot, the Hawk stalked the doctor. With his eagle vision, he spied Pietro in secret council with his henchmen by the church. The confrontation was swift, as both men fell beneath the assassin's blade. After this, the Hawk searched Pietro's home, where he uncovered the truth. Letters from Cesare Borgia revealed that the doctor was no healer, but a Templar agent planted within Monteregione. It turned out that the tortured man was the father of an assassin, forced under agony to reveal the location of a hidden entrance to the tunnels. Pietro had exploited this knowledge, stolen the chest, and delivered it into Templar hands. Sometime after, during one of his watches in Florence, the Hawk was called upon by a coded assassin signal that summoned him to shadow Leonardo da Vinci, who was moving through the streets in quiet fear. The Hawk scanned the crowd, his gaze sharpening as he spied a figure cloaked in black feathered armour, stalking Leonardo like a shadow among the citizens. Without hesitation, the assassin cut the pursuer down, but the danger was not over. A wave of corrupt Medici guards closed in, but the Hawk dispatched them with precise, ruthless efficiency until the streets fell silent again. Leonardo lived, but the encounter confirmed a chilling pattern. Reporting to Machiavelli, the Hawk learned that these black-feathered men had been sighted across Tuscany. The Brotherhood now had a new enemy. A few years later, in 1506, Machiavelli summoned the Hawk once more. A squad of Borgia guards had slaughtered 4 assassin apprentices, who had been sent to recover a strange chest hidden in the Roman catacombs. Without a word, the Hawk took the mission. When he arrived at the Roman Forum, he found the culprits lingering near the ancient ruins. When the last guard fell, the Hawk collected the fallen apprentices' hidden blades, and then retrieved the chest that they died for. Back in Machiavelli's possession, the chest revealed a bitter truth. It was the same chest stolen years before from Monteregione by Pietro. Inside lay the blueprints of a sinister new hidden blade, carved with the mark of a crow. Not long after, the Hawk accompanied Machiavelli to Florence once again, where a letter awaited them. It came from Demetrio, a former Borgia weaponsmith who claimed to plot Cesare's death and begged for the assassin's protection. From a perch overlooking the Piazza della Signoria, the Hawk scanned the square, and his sharp eyes recognised Demetrio being dragged to the gallows by Borgia soldiers. Soon after, the Hawk managed to make his way to Demetrio and rescue him. After being escorted to safety, a grateful Demetrio confided in the assassins, revealing what he knew of Cesare's schemes. He explained that Cesare had hired him to design a more lethal variant of the hidden blade, called the Corvix blade. When Demetrio refused to continue the project, Cesare had him tortured and even cut out his tongue. Driven by vengeance, Demetrio made several failed attempts on Cesare's life, until the Templar finally resolved to have him executed, an end he narrowly avoided thanks to the Hawk's intervention. Demetrio went on to disclose that the Corvix blades were being forged for an elite unit of mercenaries known as the Crows, a force trained specifically to counter the assassins by mimicking their own techniques. Not long after, Machiavelli received word of unusual activity in the Borgia camp near the Colosseum and sent the Hawk to investigate. There the assassin uncovered a massive shipment of Corvix blades and discovered the crows stationed within the camp. Tracking their commander, a former Borgia captain named Matteo, the Hawk observed him conversing with a bold associate before choosing to strike. Matteo fled to the top of the Colosseum, where a fierce battle ensued. In the end, the Hawk prevailed, slaying the crow leader before slipping out of the camp just as reinforcements of assassins arrived to launch their raid. During the raid, the assassins captured the bold man that the Hawk had seen speaking with Matteo. He introduced himself as Lo Sparviero, an arms dealer who claimed he had been forced into Cesare's service. Eager to distance himself from the Borgia, and professing a deep hatred for Cesare in particular, he offered his aid to the Brotherhood. Though wary of his motives, the assassins agreed to accept his help on the strict condition that he share everything he knew about Cesare and the crows. Over the following weeks, Cyrus gradually earned Machiavelli's trust. He supplied the Brotherhood with valuable intelligence on Cesare's activities and even devised a tool capable of deciphering encrypted Borgia documents. Acting on his advice, Machiavelli sent the Hawk to Florence to investigate one of Cesare's bookkeepers. Shadowing the man through the streets without being detected, the assassin eventually uncovered the chest where the bookkeeper stored his ledger and stole it. When Machiavelli deciphered the records, he discovered that the crows were commanded by a figure known only as Il Corvo. After a few months, the assassins still were no closer to uncovering Il Corvo's identity. It was then that Cyrus proposed a new strategy, intercepting letters carried by Borgia couriers to the crows. Acting on Machiavelli's orders, the Hawk shadowed a messenger across the Ponte Sant'Angelo and through the streets of Rome, striking him down in a secluded spot before seizing the letter he carried. He then brought the missive to Cyrus outside Castel Sant'Angelo, but as he did, he grew uneasy at Cyrus's behaviour. Cyrus insisted that the Hawk remain hidden while he personally sought out the crow's hideout, an instruction that only deepened the assassin's suspicion. The Hawk chose to follow him, yet Cyrus had anticipated this and lured him into an ambush, where the assassin suddenly found himself surrounded by crows. Though heavily outnumbered, the Hawk fought with relentless skill, cutting down his attackers one by one. Cornered, Cyrus cast aside his disguise, declaring himself to be Il Corvo and vowing to avenge his son's death with the blood of the assassins. He then fled, using tricks and diversions to elude pursuit. Despite the Hawk's efforts, Cyrus escaped, leaving the assassin no choice but to return to Machiavelli and report the shocking betrayal. Sometime later, Machiavelli sent the Hawk to Florence to investigate a disturbance at the Basilica di Santa Croce, which had recently fallen under Borgia control. There the Hawk learned that a crow messenger was operating in the city. Using eagle vision, he quickly identified the man, but refrained from killing him, instead devising a plan to uncover Cyrus's location. He discovered that the messenger intended to deliver a letter to the locked-down courtyard of Santa Croce. To disrupt the exchange, the Hawk created a diversion by assassinating Vittorio, an undercover Templar agent. The chaos blocked the messenger's path into the courtyard, giving the Hawk just enough time to retrieve a forged letter from a nearby pigeon coop. When he confronted the courier, the terrified man hastily agreed to exchange letters, and the document that was recovered revealed a summons from Cyrus calling all crows to Rome to prepare an assault on the Brotherhood. With this intelligence, the Hawk set out for Rome, only to find that the crows had already launched their attack on the city's assassins. Scouting the Castel Sant'Angelo, he discovered that Cyrus had withdrawn there with his guards. Soon after, Machiavelli himself arrived in Rome, and together they moved on the crows' hideout. When they arrived, they found that it was abandoned, so they instead chose to confront their enemies directly. Their battle carried them to the Ponte Sant'Angelo, where the bridge bristled with crows. The Hawk slipped beneath the bridge and emerged to confront Cyrus face to face. Consumed by a sudden surge of hatred, he fought with brutal resolve, cutting down Cyrus and his bodyguards alone. The surviving crows scattered in fear, leaving the Hawk to return to Machiavelli in silence. With their enemies routed, the two assassins returned to search the deserted hideout. There Machiavelli uncovered letters exchanged between Cyrus and Cesare, revealing that Cyrus had betrayed the Templars and had gone rogue. He also discovered a painting of a mysterious crystal cube, which he ended up keeping. Before further secrets could be uncovered, Borgia forces arrived to raise the hideout, forcing the assassins to retreat. Even so, their triumph marked the end of the crows, ensuring that the Brotherhood would never again be threatened by them. And that right there is the story of the Hawk and the Crows. Honestly, I really like the idea of a subcategory of the Templars that are trained in similar ways to counter the assassins, and I do think the basis of this story was interesting. There was some DLC for Assassin's Creed Identity that took the Hawk to the Battle of Forlì, and whilst the base game has never been confirmed to be canon or not, it's pretty safe to assume that the DLC is not, as it contradicts some of the events of the Battle for Forlì sequence in Assassin's Creed 2. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Hawk, and if you played Assassin's Creed Identity yourself. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.